let's move on to the news, shall we? We got a little song for that as well.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North South American. All the ships and clippers at sea. Let's go to press.
Game news.
First thing up in game news, we have a game that is just about to come out. It is dropping any day now. Paladins of the West Kingdom. This is the new game by Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald. Artist Mikhailo Dmitrievsky.
Mikhailo Dmitrievsky, yes. I assume Romanian?
I'm guessing. I mean, the Dmitrievsky could be anything, any Slav, but Mikhailo is sounds like it could be that. Anyway, this is another in the Raiders of the North Sea and Architects of the West Kingdom franchise.
Oh.
Of which Elder, the professor, is quite a huge fan of Architects of the West Kingdom. I don't think there's a single person in our group that doesn't like it. I think some of us, it's just not, it's not ringing huge bells, but I think everybody realizes it's a very competent design.
Tom, do you remember who taught Architects of the West Kingdom to Elder?
Who taught? What are you talking about?
Paul, your brother-in-law.
I dispute that entirely.
Oh, no. Paul taught Architects of the West Kingdom to Elder, and I think that's one of the reasons Elder likes it so much.
Are you positive about this, Dimitri?
Pretty sure, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I was there on that first game.
Interesting. Okay. All right. We'll give it up. We will say that this is what has happened. I'm not sure about that. I will say Architects of West Kingdom has one fairly revolutionary aspect, which is it is a worker placement game in which there is no point at which there is a segment of a round in which you pull back your workers to be able to use them again. Built into the cyclical nature of the game are actions whereby you can get back your workers or even capture your opponent,
other people's
workers, which is really, really good. Paladins of the West Kingdom is set in West Francia, circa 900 AD. And basically, the Saracens are scanning the borders, Vikings are plundering wealth and livestock, and even the Byzantines have shown up. So it looks to be a game very much. I think all of these games in this series have a lot of similarities, and yet they all play quite different. So we're really looking forward to getting that on the table. And
Architects of the West Kingdom also has a medieval theme.
Carolingian, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yes, indeed. So look for that. That should be out momentarily. Next game we have up. Look, we're in Essen month. All right, at the end of this month.
Why are you still in LA?
I'm not going to Essen. I'm not going to Essen this year. Look, Trey and Matt and I, we did Essen. We podcasted Essen. We had a big old shindig there. We had a great time. But it's also, you know what? I think we're going to save this for maybe next episode. We'll talk about it more in depth. But Essen is a very, very interesting convention. It's not exactly my favorite type of convention. It's more of a trade show
than a gaming
convention.
Yes, you mentioned that.
You still play a lot of games there, and I loved it, and I do really, really want to go back. But it's not something right now that I feel like I have to take a yearly pilgrimage to. But this is the month when everyone starts to ramp up and be excited for. Basically, the more games will be released this month than any other month of the year, and by a huge, huge factor. This is Christmas for board game designers. And one of the games we have to look forward to is Brasil. Brasil by Nuno Bizarro Sentiero and Paulo Soledad. Art by Mariano Iannelli. And it's published by What's Your Game. If you've heard What's Your Game from us before, it's because they are this very, very small Portuguese publisher that puts out exactly one game a year. And their track record is astonishing. Every single year they put out a game, and I don't think there's a bad one in the bunch. But if there is one among those games that stands head and shoulders above the others, they put out a game called Madeira. Madeira is it's a heavy, deep winemaking game that is truly, truly exceptional. And it was designed by Sentiero and Soledad, the same makers of Brazil. Brazil is going to be about gold mining in the 18th century. We don't know too much about it. There's a little bit you can look up on the Geek. All I can say is that this is from the designers of Madeira. This is a game that they started designing before Madeira. But this was one of their passion projects that took a long time to finally feel absolutely right. And what I love about these guys is that they will keep working it until they get it right. I'm dying to check it out. Brazil, by all means, check that one out. Next up we've got a game called Ankh, Gods of Egypt. This is the new Eric M. Lang game. We had a joke when we were at Essen that there were 8 Eric Langs because every single place we went, we ran into Eric Lang. He stayed in our hotel, so we kept seeing him in our hotel. We would walk to the convention, and we would see him walking from the convention. We would walk from the convention. We would see him walking to the convention. We had people Trey would be in one hall, I would be in a different hall, and we both swore that we were standing right next to Eric Lang.
That's pretty much the experience I had with you in film school where we met.
In Ankh, you play a god of ancient Egypt, competing to survive as society begins to forget the old ways, so that only you and your followers remain. Which actually sounds to me a little bit like Small Gods.
In fact, Small Gods is on my list of things I will be talking about. The Terry Pratchett book 10 of the Discworld series.
And in my opinion, the greatest of the Discworld series.
The first real novel. He started out writing parodies and satires, and Small Gods is actually the first genuine work of literature.
And he's written
that series.
And he's written, in many of the books, depart from the format of what Discworld often is. But none, I don't think, have departed quite as far as Small Gods did. It's
a singleton. It's not a guard's book. It's not a witch's book. We're maybe getting a little too insider baseball about Terry Pratchett, whom I miss so dearly. One
of the greats. Absolutely one of the greats. For those not familiar with Terry Pratchett, American Gods might be another thing that you could compare this to because they share a similar conceit. If it's Eric Lang, we're going to have absolutely gorgeous miniatures. Go on the Geek. If you like miniatures, check out these god miniatures. They are absolutely astonishing.
Cat-headed gods, I assume. Coyote-headed gods.
All sorts of amazing things like that. Remember, this is Eric Lang. Did games such as Blood Bowl, so he's used to fairly decent, fairly good Euro games that have a strong miniature aspect. He's really one of those designers that does a good job of combining Euro mechanics with Ameritrash feel, and he's very popular because of that. I think they're really good games. That's one to keep an eye on. Next, we're going to talk about Terramara. Terramara,
Earthsea, Ursula Le Guin.
No, I don't think it's based on that.
Huh.
I don't think it's based on it. Listen, there's very limited information about this, except to say that it is coming. And when I tell you that 2 of the 5 designers of the game are Flaminia Brasini and Virginio Gigli, what does that tell you, Dimitri? The non-gamer. This is a tough one. Does it have anything to do with Studio Ghibli, the Japanese Miyazaki? A very good guess. No.
Who also did an Earthsea movie?
I will tell you, it also has nothing to do with the Ben Affleck Ghibli movie.
I'm not interested then. No, actually, I am. Tell me more, Tom.
Flaminia Brasini and Virginio Gigli did Coimbra.
Oh, Trey's favorite game, and one I actually also enjoy, which is unusual for Trey.
And Signore Gigli also did Grand Austria Hotel. These are designers in that Italian collective that are absolutely crushing it. And
did they do Lorenzo, or am I mistaken?
Lorenzo, I think they did. As a matter of fact, yes, they did. Yes, they also
The game that you reviewed with Matt last week.
Yeah,
I also am a big fan of.
The only reason I pause is that they are a collective, and each individual person on that list, they will have, I did design this game, I didn't design this game, I was working on this one while you guys were doing that, and so on and so forth.
So it's not Lennon-McCartney. It's more Queen.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
That's a very good way of putting it. Terramazza is the name of villages founded around 1500 BC in the mid to late Bronze Age in northern Italy. People traveled, traded, and lived between the Alps mountain range and the River Po. So this is kind of a civilization builder game to some degree, set in the Bronze Age. Look, if you're like us and you love what these designers are doing, you owe it to yourself to check out everything they got going on. I'm just really, really happy that that there's a game of theirs that we're going to be able to check out this year. Terramara, check it out.
Tom, do you feel that designers have a personal style that is recognizable the way that writers do, for example, or painters?
Some of them do to some degree. I don't think it's entirely a one-to-one relationship. I do think it's not that far from novelists, though. Novelists will do departures and sometimes grand departures, but there's a voice in their work to some degree. But I think more simply, I think that in board game design, I think there is the hot hand. I think there is I think there are people that are just knocking it out of the park again and again and again, and for 5-10 years sometimes, everything they're doing, they just happen to have their finger on the pulse of, these are emergent mechanics and these are design ideas that I'm putting together in my brain in a way that other designers aren't quite yet.
And maybe as a collective, they're inspiring eeach other and spurring each other to greater heights.
I hope so. I mean, I very much like the idea of that. I think that I think that getting rid of the auteur theory and getting back to design as something that is a collaborative process, I think is a great thing for the longevity of the hobby, and I think it can make better games. I really do.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to that. Interesting bit of news. Dimitri, you're the wrong person to be talking about this. Have you ever heard of a game called Dark Tower?
I've heard of the Stephen King Dark Tower books.
Yes.
Is it related?
It is not in any way related. This predates the Dark Tower books by a long time.
Wow. So from the 80s or even the 70s?
The 80s. In the 80s, there was a board game that had an electronic tower, a big, tall, electronic black tower in the center. It would go in the center of a circular board, and each player would be playing their pieces on the map leading up to the tower. And when you would move your piece, you would land on a certain type of space, like you would land in a swamp or on a green space or a yellow space or whatever. You would press the button corresponding to the type of space that your piece landed on, and the tower would have a sound effect, and it would flash up what the result is. Oh, you've been attacked by brigands, or you've been, a fireball hurls down. All sorts of things like that would happen.
So the tower was your DM?
Yeah,
your electronic DM?
It was an electronic arbitrator of the rules. Now, this was early on in electronics manufacturing and board games, and because of that, they broke all the time. They were also very expensive.
Electronics never break now, ever.
The other thing is that there was a rights issue with this game, and so it came out. It was the hot toy for that year, and then promptly disappeared. They pulled a whole bunch of copies, so there are very few. It's very, very hard to find. But then comes Restoration Games. Restoration Games is a very interesting outfit. What they're doing is they're taking these classical titles that nobody can find, and they're resurrecting them. They're giving them new life. Sometimes they're remaking the games to some degree. These guys have done things like Fireball Island. They've done a remake of. They have done things like Conspiracy, which was a really good deduction game. They've done that. Unmatched. And now they've turned their sights on Dark Tower. They're doing a game called Return to Dark Tower. And there is a prototype that is going around. You can see little YouTube clips of it right now where they're showing a tower that not only is going to be responding to what's happening on the board around there, but is going to do physical things. Like parts of it are going to fly off and pop off and things like that.
Will it electrocute you?
I don't believe it will electrocute you.
Because there's a game based on that Matt bought and played with us.
I want to do the shot game one of these sessions for turn order.
Ooh, smart.
Right? I think we can have some fun with that.
That's an excellent idea. Tell me, is this a Kickstarter game or have they announced how they're going to be distributing it?
I don't believe it is Kickstarter. There's the crowdfunding campaign is going to start in January, so we got some time. But I think it probably will be on Kickstarter, but they haven't said exactly which crowdfunding they're going to be doing.
It is, right?
But it will be in January 2020. So we have a little bit of time. But once I found out that this was in the works, I thought, oh my goodness, that's really, really fantastic. Just two more items. One is that Isaac Childress announced at Shucks. Shucks is the Shut Up and Sit Down convention that is currently going on up in Vancouver. He announced something pretty remarkable. He announced that there is going to be a new casual version of Gloomhaven that will be produced, and it should be coming out in the third quarter of 2020. He hasn't given an official title, so I will. Diet Gloomhaven will have 24 scenarios in the box, and the box should be priced at around $40 to $50. So half or less than half of what it costs currently. Listen, we just took this game off of our 8x8 challenge because we felt it was a bear to get to the table. It took up too much time to really get through it.
Well, Jesse played it so extensively in one of his side projects or one of his side game nights that he felt that catching us up to his level of magnificent accomplishment in that game would be just too heavy of a load.
And as we all know, I mean, just keeping up with Jesse in regular gaming is nigh impossible. So why even start? Anyway, Diet Gloomhaven, I think, is a great idea. I hope very much that everybody who has the same reservations that I have, which is not enough hours in the day to devote to something. I'm not going to pay $120, $100 and whatever dollars for a game that I'm going to have trouble even getting to the table. Once it comes down to $40 to $50, and it's got a very densely packed limited scenario pack. That's something that I can much more wrap my head around. So looking forward to that. And last but not least, in the world of RPGs, something amazing happened. Awful, perhaps. Amazing, absolutely.
Amazing used to mean awful.
It did.
And awesome used to mean awful.
Awful as well.
Yeah.
Awful. And brilliant used to mean bright. Oh, where have we come? Wendy's, the fast food chain, Wendy's, has put out a role-playing game, a tabletop role-playing game called Feast of Legends. What can I tell you about this? It is 97 pages. The PDF, the free PDF that anybody can download, is 97 pages, including front and back cover, and it has some of the best art I've ever seen. It is gorgeous. It is ridiculous. And
wait, all the characters have to do with their menu items, don't they?
Yes, they do. Instead of the classes, the character classes of fighter, thief, druid, all that sort of stuff, they have orders. So you could be the Order of the Chicken, which are sort of rogues or bards, Order of the Beef, which are the warriors, and Order of the Sides, which are mages. And
Tom, which one are you?
Well, I tend to enjoy playing rogues a lot, so I'm probably Order of the Chicken when it comes right down to it. But
interesting, I'm a chicken too. I feel like a bard or a troubadour.
It is absolutely ridiculous. It is kind of hilarious that you're playing characters that are essentially the idea is that you are soldiers or adventurers that are under the flag of Queen Wendy the Red. And you live in the only good place in this entire kingdom because Freezonia, where frozen patties and frozen food is made, is instead of fresh, not frozen, which is what you guys are all about. The freeze is taking over the world, and you have to go out and stop it. You have the other kingdoms which are not helpful, like the kingdom of the two Carls. You have the what is the McDonald's one? I can't even remember what that one is.
Ronald McDonald.
No, yeah. But what they call it, I kind of want to get it up because it's so absolutely bonkers. It's the weirdest thing you have ever seen. You should absolutely go and check it out. The campaign is basically the fight against frozen beef. Freshtovia is the kingdom where you are living. Look, it's not a game. I mean, it is totally a game. You can totally play this. I don't know why you would. It's a very generic RPG, but it is done to such a loving degree. Like, it is done absolutely correctly in that it lays out everything you need to know. I don't think they ever intended for anyone to actually play this to the point where they give you a buff, which means they give you a better chance of succeeding in a role if you have just ordered and eaten a Wendy's menu item. And you get a minus on a roll if you have ordered anything that was previously frozen.
Tom, is this really worse than murdering demonically possessed villagers?
Well, look, here's the way I look at it. Somebody at Wendy's had the bright idea to, there are tabletop RPG writers who are great. They can do amazing things. There are fantasy artists that are amazing, and these people are starving to death. They are working minimum wage jobs. They're driving Ubers. They're doing anything they can to make a buck. And for a tiny marketing money outlay from Wendy's, you can create an item that every single person in geekdom is going to be talking about for days, for weeks, for months. There's going to be outrage. There's going to be faux outrage. There's going to be every single thing that you can possibly have. They have done something truly amazing, which is on what must be a fairly small budget. They've created such buzz. I can't remember the last time I talked about Wendy's. Who talks about Wendy's? And we are all over it because of this.
At some point, they're going to settle their lawsuit with Pippi Longstocking, I hope.
It is incredible. As long as you don't take it seriously, I think it's very funny. I think it's very fun. There are people who think people are actually going to go out, like kids are going to actually go out and play this and take it seriously. And if that's the case,
fans.
What a horror it has unleashed if that is the case. But I don't think that's the intent, and I don't think that's the way
it might be the gateway game to other RPGs.
Folks, that's what we got for the news.